that I was such a fan of the original 1975 Escape to Witch Mountain and its subsequent sequel, Return to Witch Mountain in 1978, that for fans of those original movies, I wanted them to enjoy Race to Witch Mountain with lots of little Easter eggs throughout. So many scenes throughout the movie would show them a brief clip of something, or something would reconnect in their memory and make them smile, as we did sort of every day on the set.
Marker. Action.
Excuse me, Sheriff.
Can I help you?
And we started with the original stars of Escape to Witch Mountain, Return to Witch Mountain. In our movie, you'll see Kim Richards helping out our new heroes, playing the role of Tina. And Ike Eisenman, who played the original role of Tony, is now in the movie playing the role of the very helpful Sheriff Anthony.
Can I help you boys out?
We also had a couple of other Disney nods throughout the movie that were part of our memories. One of my favorite Disney movies was a movie called The Journey of Natty Gann. The actress who played Natty Gann, Meredith Salinger, is an amazing actress, and we had talked to her about the possibility of coming on board and playing a reporter. And what made it even that much more special is she plays the character of a reporter named Natalie Gann. So we always can hear laughter in the theater from people who make the connection when Meredith says,
"This is Natalie Gann reporting."
We do have a couple of little cameos. There is a great moment when you first see Jack Bruno pull up in Vegas and he looks out his window and a red Mustang pulls up. That's actually our producer, Andrew Gunn. One of my experiences that I had on the game plan was I actually got to use one of our executives at Disney, Brigham Taylor. So when the UFO parade walks by, you'll notice a gentleman dressed in a Tron costume. That, of course, is the thespian known as Brigham Taylor, who also happens to be the executive on the sequel to Tron. When you need to find somebody to play the train engineer, you should find a person who has been a train engineer. And we didn't have to look that far, because the chairman of Disney, Dick Cook, used to be a train engineer at Disneyland. That was his first job. So we figured he had a pretty good experience handling a train. We have two incredibly goofy stormtroopers. And our two producers on the game plan, Mark Chardy and Gordon Gray, were real supporters of us when we were making this. So I felt like I had to pay homage to them. So if you look in the credits, you'll see one is Stormtrooper Chardy and the other is Stormtrooper Gray.
Well, if it isn't the Rebel Alliance cab driver scum.
Okay, back up a little. This is not space camp.
Gary Marshall's character is named Dr. Donald Harlan. The Harlan actually for one of the sci-fi futurists, Harlan Ellison, and the Donald coming, of course, in the name of Donald Pleasance, who played Aristotle Bolt's henchman, Duranian, which, by the way, jumping over to our baddie Siphon, is actually from the Duranian series. So we linked all of those little pops together.
Hi, are you gentlemen here for the UFO Space Expo?
Wouldn't miss it.
I was born in Roswell, New Mexico. So if you're born in Roswell, New Mexico, you have a love and appreciation for all things extraterrestrial, UFOs, aliens, especially UFO conventions. And it was real important to me to make sure that our UFO convention was authentic. And we got very lucky. We were able to get the amazing Whitley Strieber and his wife, Anne. Whitley, of course, the subject of the book Communion.
Not now, Whitley.
But we didn't stop there. The gentleman who's both the host of UFO Hunters on the History Channel, as well as the publisher of UFO Magazine, Bill Burns, is somebody that I had contacted early on in the development of the script. He'd been incredibly helpful for us in terms of behind the scenes. And then we continued to sort of spread out our hands. There's a physician by the name of Dr. Roger Lear, who, very important person within the UFO movement, who is there. And every booth that you see at the UFO convention is actually a booth that's manned by somebody from a real organization. So whether it's Legendary Times or Fate Magazine or UFO Magazine, as we have the camera pan through the convention, everybody that you see that there is real. In Escape to Witch Mountain, Eddie Albert played our lead adult character, Jason O'Day, and we felt it was important to have some little Easter eggs dedicated to the amazing Eddie Albert.
Do I know you?
No, absolutely not.
Cheech Marin's character, who plays a very helpful mechanic in the town of Stony Creek, is named Eddie.
90K and descending fast. Send me a visual and track now.
One of our big generals that we have is General E. Albert. Eddie Albert actually did a record. I think probably the only time he ever did a record. And we found the album and we put it inside the Winnebago.
Which mountain? What, are we a singing group here?
The album is kind of in the background. So if you're looking closely, you're going to see Eddie Albert's face kind of right near Gary Marshall. Escape to Witch Mountain, the original movie for Disney, came out in 1975, and that was always in our mind, 1975, and we wanted to sort of find a way to pay homage, and you will notice that Jack Bruno's cab that he drives, all cabs have either a 3-digit or a 4-digit call number, and Jack's cab is 1975.
Hey!
One of the characters that we have is a police officer named Police Officer Huff.
Hey, move this thing out the taxi zone now before I give you a ticket.
That was done in honor of the Escape to Witch Mountain 1975 original director, John Huff, who created such a landmark series and left such an impression on my mind that it was real important to me to get a character with his name. In the town of Stony Creek, which was in the original book, Alexander Key, also used very effectively in the 1975 movie. Stony Creek was sort of an enclave, a safe haven for the aliens to go to, where there is a very helpful sheriff and a very helpful waitress helping them along. And the name of the restaurant that they work at is Ray's, which is named after Ray Milland, who played Aristotle Bolt, the original bad guy in Escape to Witch Mountain. And if you're checking out the Winnebago, you might notice a couple of similarities. Number one, that Winnebago looks shockingly like the original Winnebago from 1975 because it is a replica of the exact Winnebago used. So in our mind, Jason O'Day, Eddie Albert passed that Winnebago on to Gary Marshall, who plays Dr. Donald Harlan. A lot of directors, notoriously, have found ways to put themselves in the film. Hitchcock, who was probably the genius of it, found a way to put a shadow or a side profile in every movie that he had done, and sort of the game of watching a Hitchcock movie was to see if you could spot Hitch. Other directors, like the great Sidney Pollack and Ron Howard, who have found the ability to put themselves in a movie, and they're just wonderful actors. In our movie, even, we have one of the great directors of all time, Gary Marshall, the genius behind Happy Days and Pretty Woman. A lot of people were asking me if I was going to do a cameo in this movie. And I get that a lot, because a lot of times when Dwayne and I are next to each other, we're like twins. You can see the two of us. We have very similar bone structure. Certainly we're built the same, similar mannerisms. So that's why I decided not to be, out of deference to the audience wanting to just see one Dwayne. That's the magic of Witch Mountain.